Question. Kodwa bodwa kwamKZN. Yeah. The Premier of the province, MEC for Economic Development, and many other portfolios. I'm talking about the economic development here. And all the MECs of KZN, the district mayor and other district mayors from other district and local mayors, nama councillor khoyo apha, amakhosi ngosiqinisa usibikela pha usuku babesilapha ayo trespass simenyiwe nawonke amakhosi akhoyo, captains of the industry. When I understand captains of the industry, they are big and small, old and emerging. They are all captains of the industry. If you are a captain, whether your club is small or big, you remain a captain. The unions that are here, I would imagine that unions have been invited. Community formations, investors, and sectors that are complementary to mining. And lastly, everybody invited here. And lastly, the team DMR. That's what we're trying to build, Comrade Setle, something called team DMR. The team DMR, we're trying to force it to understand that it is only a team when we work together. Nobody focuses on the small unit in the department and ignore other things. Everybody must know everything and anything. I'm quite happy to be here. When I was asked to come here, you see, in government you have advisors, you have chiefs of staff, you have many people around you. And they wanted to write a long speech for me. And I said, no, I'm going to an Indaba. So I'm going to participate in a conversation about mining. And that's what I'm going to do. You see, mining is a curse and a blessing. It's one thing that is having both. Mining is a curse and a blessing. It is a curse in the sense that wherever there is mining, it attracts greed. And that greed translates into conflicts. Everybody in a mining area thinks that everything must be given to me alone. That is the curse of mining. When people fight for that small-scale mine and that small-scale mine, don't think that it is unique to your area. It is the nature of the industry, the curse of mining. It is a blessing because it presents an opportunity to many people to prosper. When I went to the department, one of the things I applied my mind to KZN was the processing of mining licenses. And I found a big backlog. And I asked the department, why is there a big backlog in processing the mining licenses? This, that. And I discovered, Uguti, there is this backlog because people are having interest. They want to delay this so that at the last moment I squeeze in my preferred bidder and give that mining. And I said, that is going to stop. Now, once you have backlogs, you are delaying creation of wealthy black people. I'm a strange communist, Comrade Temba, in that I don't fall sick when I see a wealthy black person. Actually, I wish we can have more of them. And I said, mining is one sector that can contribute in generating young millionaires in numbers. And that's what it should do. And we must be happy to see emerging wealthy black business people. You know, BEE, sometimes when we discuss in the ANC, we give it a number of characterization, sometimes up to a point that we think that it's a welfare program. City broad-based black, BBBBEE. There is a fuzzy idea in our eyes that we're busy managing a social welfare program. BEE is a program to create black capitalists. That's what it's all about. And we must not be ashamed of creating these black capitalists. Now, and I normally like to put that up front, because this thing of putting BEE in fuzzy terms, as if it is some socialist program, is a program to build black capitalists in South Africa. That's why it will refer to deracialization of the economy. Because there are many white capitalists. We must generate sufficient black capitalists so that there is a balance in the economy. That's what it is. Otherwise, we'll be dominated, we'll accuse one another, we'll be captured, we'll be doing this because economically we have no power. The economic power is in somebody else's hands. That's what it is. Now, in mining, when we came there, I want to explain what KZN was raising here of the rulement on once empowered, always empowered. I said on this matter, my preference is to resolve the matter. And we can resolve the matter, but we'll appeal it because it's quite a badly written judgment. What we're appealing is the badly written judgment. But ultimately, what should come to the charter should be determined by us in the sector debating. And every time I was asked about this, I said there are two extreme situations in the industry. Where I become a BE partner, once the company that takes me as a BE partner complies, the share price goes up immediately. Once the share price goes up immediately, I sell every share. Anybody who wants to buy it must take it, and I cash the shares and run away. I said that is irresponsible on the part of the black partner, because this black partner treats mining for speculation. And I'm saying we must not be soft on that, because mining is a long-haul industry. It's not a short-term industry that you can, if you want quick cash, please don't go to mining. You go to something else, and then you can make quick cash. Mining means you must throw money at it and throw another money and throw another money, and in the long term, it will give you returns. You see now, you put billions in sinking a shaft before you mine the deposit. So we can't afford speculators in the industry. And that includes black partners in the industry. They must not speculate, they must be in there for a long haul, lock themselves in. They must not be told by law to lock in for 10 years. They must want to stay there permanently and create wealth in mining. That is one extreme. The second extreme is the extreme of mining companies having these partners at a point elbow the partner out. You can't continue being empowered if you elbow your partner out. To me, those are the two extremes that we must deal with, and the wording we must find to deal with that issue. Now, I'm not dealing with the litigation part, I'm dealing with the practical part of dealing with the industry. Litigation will go, we'll appeal that and all that, but we must get a formula, and we said, We must force the industry to agree to a formulation, and we go to that same court and say, make this formulation a court order. And that's what we're going to do. Now, having said that, I think we must appreciate that mining is an economic sector. You know, I've been in government for 50 days now, almost 50 days. Today is exactly 50 days today. Now, I'm not counting the days because I'm a convert to the 100 days first. No, that's not the issue. To me, I like quantifying the work I'm doing. That's all. Not in 100 days. I want to quantify it in 365 days. I want to quantify it in 3 years. I want to quantify the work I'm doing all the time. Now, in that 50 days, I've come across a number of things. And I discovered, to my shock, that sitting in Luthuli House, you imagine many of the things. You just imagine them. And they have become a reality. Yeah? And they become a reality in your mind. You are in Luthuli House. And so you call a minister gives you a very high-level briefing on the matter, and you think that you understand the issue. Now you go there, you discover that, but hi, man, this is not what we're talking about. Yeah, you know what we're talking about. The first thing is government departments should be effective. You know, there's a term that I have come across more regular in the 50 days than any time before, called capacity. Capacity. Do we have the capacity? And I'm doing my own assessment of the capacity in DMR. Team DMR is here. They know I sit with them regularly and ask them all the difficult questions. And my conclusion is, every time we talk about capacity, we talk about numbers. How many people do we have? We don't talk about capabilities. What capabilities do we have? And as a result of that, you kill and demoralize an army of young graduates and professionals who are seen as no capacity when they are actually capacity if they are given the exposure and time to do certain things. We were consulting communities about this charter. What is your problem with the charter? Because we're focusing on 2 areas. We're focusing on transformation. We're focusing happy about. We're going to come here in KZN. We must find a venue that will be accessible to all mining areas. Sit there, talk the whole day until we're blue in the face. As we do that, we've done 3 areas so far. We've been to Witbank, we've been to Beggarsford, we've been to Lipalale. We're going to go to every mining area. We'll come here. I'm committing myself to that. And people raise all sorts of things about the charter. Small scale miners and partners. One thing that I've discovered is a reality about vendor funding. Is it vendor funding? It's called vendor funding. Vendor financing. And I make my own definition about it now, you see. I define that as having a partner with no intention to transfer wealth. You bring this partner, you give this partner a sense that they are owning, they are partners. Ubafaka with vendor financing, vendor financing. That vendor financing gobbles all the dividends that should come to you, and you pay back your debt, and you never benefit. Actually, the time period for debt is longer than the life of mine. Now, once that happens to me, I think we have created a false situation of people feeling like they are partners, but there was not in the first place any intention to transfer wealth. It's an issue that we should open up. I'm throwing it here because all the players of the money are here in this province. We must discuss it. We come across an example in one area in Limpopo, Mkhalakwen, where the mining company gives a big chunk and say we give it to the community, we give this to a black partner and so forth, and their financial director fines the agreement. Those partners are not signatories to that agreement. Okay, and what have now? They are not signatories to that agreement. And I'm saying when a company does that, there was never an intention to transfer wealth. It's malicious compliance. We must deal with that issue. Partnership in business must translate in transfer of wealth. And then we must begin to see young millionaires coming up and getting rich. And we fancy them, and we advise them not to buy big cars with the first dividends. You can still drive a buggy and accumulate your dividends until you're wealth of. You don't need to display wealth. You need to create and build wealth and not just display it. Now, that is one aspect. The second thing is, Comrade Sihle and Comrade Willis are talking about a tradition of a disruptive behavior where people call it radical economic transformation, and I say, no, that is not the radical economic transformation we talked about. People are disruptive, and they want to access businesses quick. It cannot be that people must just walk in there and grab and ban tires, stop mining. Now, we must work together as structures, but let the ANC must lead this. Disrupting mining is not an act of militancy. You are not militant. You are disruptive. Now, when you are disruptive, mines will not produce. Okay, will not produce. When mines don't produce, they will not have any commodity to sell. If they don't sell a commodity, they will have no money to do what they should do. There is something in this charter called the social labor plan. Social labor plan is a plan and a commitment to do community development and do development that impact on workers positively. It can only happen when there is mining happening. If mining is not happening, there is no trading of those minerals, you will not do what you committed yourself to do. Now, we have asked the mining companies, I'm giving you my induction over the 50 days, I'm just sharing with you my induction. We have asked the mining companies and said to them, listen, your weakness is that, mining used to be huge, almost a government within government. If you go to major mining areas, you would find a hospital for each mining company. I would imagine here there used to be some hospital for Kilbachen, someone for Fried Coronation, another small hospital for Slobane, another one for DNC, Danakol, and another one for Utrecht. That's the behavior of mining. Mining must be persuaded to appreciate that pooling resources makes better impact. Now, if we have SLP, we must convey SLPs of those areas, pull it together in local government and in developing its IDPs, must take into account what is in the SLPs and make it its business to appreciate that the SLPs should complement IDPs at local government level. Otherwise, you are going to go to an area, a local government take decision to build a multi-purpose center. The company build a multi-purpose center. Then you have two multi-purpose centers where you need one. Instead of directing those resources to something different, you are having same things all over. If we were saying want to build a school in Plumbush, and they were as a Plumbush, who was the polluter there? Because the polluter pays. That's the rule. The polluter pays. So our responsibility is not just to go there and say, we must find who is the polluter. Some trace. Uba that was, Kilbachen was, Plumbush Fujan Kilbachen? I go Fujan? Yes, and Plumbush. Because you can trace the owner, and you'll find that there is a legal successor to that owner who's not here but prospering in Wheatbank. That owner must be pulled and say, let's go and see the damage you left behind, let's go and rectify it. Now, that is what we should be doing, working together. Iamba rehabilitation. Rehabilitation is quite an important part of mining. If you don't rehabilitate, mining earn a bad name. All they do is to leave scars on the land and leave them. Rehabilitation, they are reserved for rehabilitation. As you go by DMR, it's no more. It's a treasure. It's a treasure. It's a treasure. But we have agreed to go and trace it. See, Fuman, we must rehabilitate areas that we've mined, because as the mining continues, rehabilitation funding is accumulated. And my own approach is even better than just rehabilitation. Rehabilitation itself creates jobs. If we do it seriously, we'll create jobs in the area where we are rehabilitating left mines. And we're having that discussion in the department. How do we do it? In some areas, it's quite big. In some areas, they're doing well. And I always say to people, if you want to go and see a good rehabilitation program, go to Richards Bay Minerals. I was there one time where they actually try to restore the land to look like the original lot and plant the wild trees that are there until you are told. You don't know that this is the natural forest, this is the rehabilitated forest. And that's what mining should be doing. I'm not praising Richards Bay Minerals. I have no brief for them. But I went there once, I loved it. And I said, this is the kind of rehabilitation that we should have, trying to restore the land to look like its original shape and look. Now, something called pollution. The village environment, MEC, pollution is something that we should look into. We must not pollute rivers, we must pollute not the environment. But we must also be realistic and understand that mining pollutes. Okay. Now, what is it? I don't know if we remember that at one point we had a conference here in South Africa, which was international, on sustainable development. Gave us a formulation that try to balance development and environment. Remember that you have benefits today, but don't destroy benefits for future generations. How you do that is a function of discussion and engagement at local level. And sometimes we make it a company issue or a government issue. That is one thing that we should begin to preach. Mining involves government. It involves owners, it involves workers, it involves communities. Now, there was an amount set aside for communities and ESOPs for workers. The industry must consider this. It can't be through vendor financing. There must be a chunk of that money that is for free. Now, free carry. Now, I said when I was discussing, no, it's not a free carry. It's an employer buying shares for his employees. It's not a free carry. It's an employer buying shares for his employees, because it is these employees who convert the investment into wealth. So we must not give it a strange name, CBC free carrying if you go Father Christmas. No, it's not Father Christmas. It's an employer buying shares for his employees. Simple. And therefore, you must not be ashamed of doing that. And you are buying shares for a community where you are mining. So it's not a free carry. It's a contribution of the employer to people who are impacted directly by mining. Now, one CEO said to me, why don't we rather have profit sharing schemes? Now, I had to take this CEO through basic lessons. I like teaching people about things I don't know. I enjoy that. I enjoy that more. I enjoy that more. I said to this CEO, no, that is a fallacy. You buy ESOPs for workers. You're buying shares for your employees. They are part owners. And I said, don't stop there. Make them sit in your board. They must have a representative in the board. I sat in boards when I was in the NUM. I was in Samango. I was in ESCOM. We're trying to test this thing. It didn't work out well. I can tell you the stories. But it was worth trying. It was worth trying. It was worth trying. Let them sit in the board. They understand the decisions. They can report on an ongoing basis on strategic decisions. Now, if you allow them to be in the board, it's not just them sitting in the board, you are also committing them to the company. And I told this CEO, I said, this is an approach whose origin is in the Nordic countries. It is the essence of court determination system of social democracy in Nordic countries. And that's why if you talk Volvo, workers are involved, they love Volvo, they own the product, they take ownership and pride on a Volvo. If you take all the German cars, whether it is Mercedes or Audi or Volkswagen, same thing happens. Those workers take ownership and pride on that brand. It's their brand. Because they're given shares, they're sitting in boards, and they are part of the company fully. And I'm putting this, company must think careful about this. It may not be a huge amount, but it's not a free carry. It's shares for the workers, ESOPs, and shares for communities. But part of those, even if you're going to give the rest, if vendor financing, you can have, but at least they have one that is paid out by the employer where they at least receive cash in terms of dividends, when dividends are declared. Now, an industry that is competitive, you know, there is an institution that is doing a rating of mining countries called Fraser Institute. In their rating, they say South Africa has the potential to be number 21 in the world. They're assessing 91 mining countries. They say we can be number 21. Can you guess where we are? The two areas that are assessed, one is investment attractiveness, we are number 47 in terms of investor attractiveness. In terms of policy and regulation, we're number 80 out of 91. Now, that's why the approach we're taking in the charter is that, come, let's talk to everybody. Everybody must buy in. By the time we gazette it again, there is at least general consensus on it. So we don't fight over a charter. NCOP, accelerate your work on the MPRDA, finish it. Once we conclude those two pieces of policy and legislation, we will remove our contribution to policy and regulatory uncertainty. And already once we started making those noise, I don't know if you noticed that the report on the growth of mining production, growth by 3.1%, it should persist. But we cannot stop there. I have been to a number of regions. I have not finished them. There's a concept that I don't understand of putting mines under care and maintenance. It's not finished, it is economical, it is put under care and maintenance for one reason or another. The question we're asking to the industry today is, why do you put a mine under care and maintenance? Because key to that is what we call high grading, where a mining company, because there are problems of one kind or another, focuses on high grade areas and leave marginal resources. Now, if you leave those marginal resources, there is a big risk. The biggest risk is that you are going to sterilize those marginal resources. You're going to close the mine with mineable ore. And that is at the heart of illegal mining. That is at the heart of illegal mining. Workers work there, they know you close that mine, they know that section you left it, but there's still mineable ore body, but it's too marginal to make sense to you, and they come back and steal that ore body. So we have taken a decision that we're going to invite owners of these mining companies who are having care and maintenance and confront them and ask a simple question: do you want to use it or do you want to lose it? Because it's use it or lose it. That's what we're going to be confronting. We're not going to do it willy-nilly. We're going to talk to mine owners and say, but you are sterilizing an ore body that is mineable there. Somebody can use it profitably. I don't know if people remember, because anything that has a Gwede in it, we close our eyes. People don't tell the story that it was Glencore, a major multinational, that put Optimum under business rescue practitioners. It was Glencore, because they were fighting a fight with ESCOM. I don't want to get into that, but it is a major multinational that put Optimum under care and maintenance. And when Gupta's bargained for that company, they were bargaining on a company that was under business rescue practitioners. And to me, that is irresponsible doing of business. It's adolescent business tendencies. Very adolescent. Okay. Now, and therefore, I'm going to stop. I'm going to give you just the last part of what I want to talk to, is that we must appreciate that we are owners we are actually partners in the industry. Government is not relating to mining as a policeman. I'm not a policeman. Do you get my point? I'm a partner of mining. I want them to do the right thing. Workers are not the enemy of the industry. We must involve them, communities, until we appreciate that they are our partners. they're going to continue behaving in a way that is disruptive. So that partnership, to me, is what we should be working for. And to me, cousin, that is the most radical economic framework that can work, because it focuses on making every sector productive. Number two, it ensures that people benefit from it. Number three, it involves everybody and they become part of that sector. So they're not waiting for dishing out and being given presents and favors. They are part of it. When it is in trouble, when we say mining is an industry in distress, we must all understand what is kind of this distress. It must not be just the owners who know what the distress is. We must all know it's in distress and be able to say, when I'm making the hey, and let's do something else. One time in 1997, we signed what is called profit-linked increases. A nightmare to manage, because you don't know the profit, you have no control of it. You go to hands in the go to higher core profit, man. And they said to them, you must never sign this agreement again, because you're bargaining on an issue you have no control on. So in brief, cousin, we're quite impressed by the fact that you have this Indaba here. I'm sure other provinces will want to tap in this experience, because mining of the time is treated as if it is an industry of the charter. Not treated as an economic sector. Mining is an economic sector, and it must make its positive contribution. Let me tell you, and let me just read you the vision of the department. In our strategic plan 2014 to 2019, I take full ownership of it. It says, Vision 2019 is a globally competitive, sustainable, and meaningfully transformed mining and mineral sector. That is Vision 19. And every time we talk in regions, in provinces, everywhere, we must check if we are globally competitive. That talks to the performance of the sector. We are sustainable. Is it not short-term benefits? And check if we are meaningfully transformed. And we say, by 2030, we want to be a leader in transformation of South Africa through economic growth and sustainable development. That's what we want. Now, it is not competitiveness versus transformation. It's both working together and appreciating that if you don't do the other is going to collapse. If you are competitive but you are brutal in terms of transformation, you don't do it, it is not going to be sustainable, because people are going to revolt when they smell the wealth. And if you are driving a transformation and you want to kill production, it's not going to happen, because there will be no resources to transform. So it is standing on these two legs like a human being: competitiveness and inclusive growth and transformation of the sector. Even this Indaba, you can give us ideas on how to achieve both. I will be the most happy minister in the country. Thank you very much.